Imbolc, the story of Brigid and the Cailleach. Long ago, in the times of wisdom, and before the robot zombies, there was an old crone who ruled the land. She was the Cailleach, but people called her the hag. She wore a torn and tattered skirt, a cloak, and had a big staff made of blackthorn. Every time she walked, her magic staff would cause the thunder to rumble over the land and the lightning to flash. It would freeze any ground it touched as cold and as hard as stone. If she laid her cloak on the ground would be covered with snow and ice. Cailleach was the boss of the winds, the sharp mountain peaks, and the rain. She was the guardian of the wild beasts, the horned goats, the wolves, the owls, and the eagles. She could even turn into a majestic bird herself, a great grey heron. The Cailleach lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, since she knew where to find the Well of Youth. Whenever she felt tired or very old, she would lift the stone slab from the well and drink its magic waters. As long as she put the stone back before the moon rose each night, everything would be fine. It was winter for a very long time in the land, but deep within the belly of the earth, something was stirring. Something tiny but magical was happening. Something was glowing and growing and beginning to come to the surface. The sun came out, and in sheltered patches and corners of the land, green started to grow. The spirit of spring was quickening, and one day, a few tiny flowers opened their petals. But still the Cailleach stamped and tramped over the land. Her ice breath froze the flimsy petals, and her blackthorn staff snapped the delicate stems. The Cailleach laughed, and her laughter turned into bitter, stinging wind. The Cailleach whistled and called the 4 great winds from her mountain peaks and from the northlands. The shrill wind, the sharp wind, the shrieker, and the sweeper. Yowling and howling they came, over the hills, over the seas, whipping up waves and lashing down trees. The Cailleach laughed and danced in the storm like a child in the rain. She kicked up her skirts and hurled down her hail. When at last the winds died down, the Cailleach was exhausted. Her bones ached and her knees creaked. She sat down slowly, staring out to sea and singing to herself, a sad, sorrowful song. The Cailleach waded out into the waters to find the Well of Youth and drank deeply. She spotted a place that looked comfy on the land and sat down to rest without replacing the stone on the well. She sank into a deep sleep. The sun set and the moon rose as the Cailleach slept, exhausted from the havoc she'd wreaked upon the land. Without the stone lid, the waters of the well rose and rose, swelling and swirling, rising and rising, and still the Cailleach slept. The waters of the well rose over the edge and spilled onto the ground over the Cailleach. As the waters touched her cloak and hands, it melted them, and she lost her grip on the magic blackthorn staff. It rolled away down the hill and lodged beneath a holly bush. As the waters of life washed over the sleeping Cailleach, she was turned into a great grey stone boulder, for this is what happens to Cailleachs at the end of their days. As the moon set and the sun rose, the waters of life were like the first soft rains of spring. There was an opening in the hill, and a bright glowing light came from it. Out of the opening, as the sun rose higher, a beautiful new woman emerged. She was young and glowing with a soft light. Her hair was red as fire, her cloak a beautiful green. She wore a white dress, and as she walked, flowers grew beneath her feet in the footsteps. This is Brigid coming to power, Brigid the White, Brigid the Bright, Brigid the bringer of spring. Now, some say the Cailleach still sleeps her stone-cold sleep, and will once again awaken when the summer comes to an end. Others say that Brigid is the Cailleach herself, transformed like a great grey glacier that turns into a bubbling stream in the spring. Brigid has the power of fire within her, with the spark of poetry on her tongue and a song on her lips. Her songs are as soft as the breeze and as bright as the first birds of spring. The power of heat and healing are in her hands, and as she kneels beside the frozen river and dips a hand into the water, the river begins to flow again. Brigid finds the Cailleach staff under the holly bush, and as she holds it in her hand, it begins to swell and grow and is soon covered in white blossoms. Brigid looks out over the bare, brown land and lays her green cloak down. She walks into her now green land, and wherever she walks, flowers spring up and the land begins to come alive. A gentle breeze whispers, "Spring is coming." A babbling stream whispers, "Spring is coming." A bird sings, "Spring is coming." And so it was, and so it is. Brigid the Bright, Brigid the White, Brigid the bringer of spring is here to bring life, love and warmth to our land and to our hearts. Imbolc blessings to one and all, from our tribe to yours.